Welcome on in game night in Buffalo, where we have two big matchups where the Buffalo Sabres head down to Florida to take on the Panthers, and Banditos host the Saskatchewan Rush. A nice one Buffalo possibility here, and Gatesy joined to my right, your left, by the one, the only Maniac. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing well, Gates. He used to dream for times like this as recently as a couple weeks ago. It feels like it's been, a month since we've had Banditos and Sabres week in action together. So glad to see a chance for a double dip on this beautiful Friday.
And don't you worry, it's not just our two beautiful faces here. We're joined by the dreamboat himself, Donnie. Sir, big night tonight. How are we feeling?
Feeling great. Like you said, vibes are high starting the Florida trip. Looking for the Sabres to stay red hot and hoping the Bandits can turn it around. If they're going to do it, might as well do it against the number one team in the NLL. So
exactly. If there's one way to turn around it's a game like night, and we're going to be bouncing around between these two teams. It's going to be a fun one, hopefully, where we can get both teams to win combo with the Buffalo Sabres right now. A team that just got back from their Olympic break on Wednesday with a 2-1 win over the New Jersey Devils on the road. Maybe how are you feeling after you get the Sabres win column after, it seems like forever since they were last on the ice?
I mean, I can't help myself as a Buffalo sports fan to be like a little nervous at times when, the team starts struggling, especially with how it's been the last 10, 15 years. So after Tuck made the comments and then go 1-2-1 to go into the Olympic break. But what we saw in that Devils game was exactly what we've seen from the Sabres squad for that previous 25 stretch. It was a methodical attack. We were able to kind of boa constrictor around New Jersey. UPL made a timely save or two and able to get the win. So happy to see them. Just need to keep it going during the Sunshine State, Gatesy.
Yeah, exactly. We had our Boxing Swords pregame show before that at Sports City, favorite place. And, we my bun of just what we want to see from that game. All I want to see a gutsy win from the Sabres, because that's what gave them, their life this season was, the teams every single night in terms of out shooting teams, in terms of, maybe some advanced analytics, but they're finding a way to win. We saw that exactly, on Wednesday, Don. We saw a Sabres team that, they gave up a goal late, but they didn't break, and they got 2 points in the end.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but didn't need to be. I said that in the pregame. Bun was like, I want one victory, and we all do, but I'm like, I'm not expecting much. This is TCB game. Take care of business. Start hot, build off it. Now we got to build off it with the Sabres going to Florida. I think, again, I like how we match up against these guys, especially if we can control the puck and play our game. If you don't let them slow us down and out physical us, I think we got a great shot, and I love it. And hey, Crossing Swords we're 2-1, right?
Yeah,
2-1 records. So we're winning column as well. Hopefully we can bring that luck to the Bandits as well.
Exactly. I mean, the Bandits need really all the help they can get. I mean, that last game in Vancouver, not only was it just a heartbreaking game, but it was, at midnight by the time things wrapped up. Talk me through your emotions of that game of just start.
Everything, because, they're coming to win. So you're like, all right, this is the time we're going to start getting things going in the right direction and to do it against Vancouver. Very lackadaisical beginning of the game, falling behind 5-1, but then the Banditos show you exactly what they can do. They lock it down. They come back, they make it close at that halftime juncture. But then you have 25 minutes without a goal, and it's like this Bandits team has found a way, whether it's defensive lapses late, whether it's tough penalty calls, whether it's just getting smoked by like the Colorado Mammoth on a one-off. They just found a way to be in a rough stretch, really be in a rut. And unfortunately, would you like to have like a last place team come into Bandit land when you need a win? Of course, but an opportunity to show that all the losses really are much ado about nothing, that they are just close games that aren't going their way in the 50-50 spot. The big back performance of the Rush team.
Yeah, it feels almost like a Freaky Friday moment right now where we see the Buffalo Sabres find ways to get out wins, and it might not play their best, but they're going to find ways in games. And we're seeing the Bandits team, one, get blown up by Colorado. We've seen the Sabres do a lot, but to be close in games, have a chance, but not be able to close the deal. What's going on where these two teams have seemingly switched their overall vibes overnight?
part of his volume, right? Too, because obviously the Banditos had some buys early in the season, so they're 4-6 now. The thing that stands out about the Banditos is that as bad as they have played, which they've played poorly, they haven't been able to get out done. They're below 5 currently, half game out of the playoff spot in the NLL. So we've been saying it for the last couple weeks, and yeah, you're going to run out of way on this eventually, but team wants to see Buffalo come into their barn in a one-off, like, quarterfinal and playoff. So the Banditos have a lot of room to pick up that trajectory and get to where they want to be. And obviously, a double for them this weekend is another opportunity to do that. You go 2-0, people will be feeling real good about the orange, black, and purple.
That's really all it takes for this. We know the talent's there in their data. It's just, getting the result, the win column, which, I don't want to forecast too much about what we're doing tonight, but we are going to talk about just kind of the freaky Friday-ness of it all, where they've had these conversations before the season started. I don't think any of us would believe where we're at. Don, I want to talk to you quick about the Sabres team in Jersey. We're watching at Sports City. Peyton Krebs, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I know a little bit on Trainwreck today of it all earlier, but on the first line with Tage Thompson, anytime he's up there, we hear words like chirping about, this guy shouldn't be here. But he showed up. Golden and assist really carried the Sabres to that win on the road. Your thoughts of Krebs on the first line? Is this a permanent thing, or just kind of raising his trade value before the deadline?
I like him. I think on your first line, it's very rare that you can get a line like, and look at the Oilers. You don't have Draisaitl on the first line. He goes on the second. You can't, have all your hands. You got to have some guys going to play physical, that are going to get in the corners and feed the goal scorers. There's been a lot of players in Sabres past that were that. Chris Drury, he was a goal scorer, but he was kind of more of a grinder too. So I'm not saying Krebs is a Chris Drury, but I think on the first line, that's kind of what you want. It takes some pressure off of Tage. And hey, what more do you want than if you get the puck on a nice 2-on-1 opportunity, you bury it and have your chance. That's the thing. He didn't get a lot of shots, a lot of opportunities, but when it did find him, found the back of the net. I like him. Now, if he's taken off the first line, I'm not crying over it. I trust Andy Ruff. I've said before, I love the way he shuffles these lines around depending on who's up, who's down, who's injured, and who's not. But I think Krebs is a good balance with Tage for sure.
Shout out Krebs making the most of those opportunities. Like you said, 11 points in the last 12 games, I believe it was. City netters with that empty net demon.
The assassin.
But yeah, I think it goes away for his confidence. It wasn't a 3-0 when he buried that. That was 1-0, and they played, and they were 53 minutes in when he buried that to make it 2-0. Obviously, it ends up being the GWG. So nice to get that on your stat sheet. Nice to get that in your box score. And I think that could be for Krebs to build up. I want to talk about what you said, Don, with Lindy Ruff, with the line, wizardry. I think when we get Krebs on that top line, it just makes our other lines better.
Yes.
Because you shuffle guys down and you get the matchups against second and fourth liners that they may not have been getting before. So big when Peyton Krebs steps up to help that depth get advantages as well.
Exactly. And is there a guy in recent memory for the Sabres that have just had this he was big that Jack Eichel trade. We're all like, this guy, he has talent. He's going to get there. He's on the fourth line. He's, we see flashes. We're not really getting it. We're all kind of just hoping for the day that Peyton Krebs really arrives in Buffalo. And it feels like we've never really gotten it. It just feels like every time he gets close to that, we saw the last time he was on the first line for the Sabres, he had kind of a rough outing where he had that time misplay in the third period that didn't go his way. Are we ever going to see, the Krebs full arrival in Buffalo? Is it here? Or, that's my question, how long is it going to take for you to fully believe in Krebs?
Well, I say I am believing right now, and now or never. Now, is that fair to Peyton Krebs? Yes and no. And I'll tell you why, Gatesy. It's fair, yes, because this guy has been technically now in a Sabres, like you said, I believe, for 5 years. I think that Jack Eichel trade went down October, November of 21, if I recall correctly. Obviously, Eichel had the surgery, so he didn't play for a bit. But he's been on the team for 5 years now. So in that regard, it is time for Peyton Krebs to show what he can do with these opportunities. The no of it being unfair is that this is really the first time that there's been foundation around on this team, that there's been a good system in place, and you seem to see numerous guys thriving because of that. So it's very interesting to see. I think that you really have to look hard at this sample size that he's giving you. 11 points in 12 games, and if he, I don't know if he needs to be. I mean, he's on the first line, so you want points and everything, but he doesn't need to be the offensive generator. That's Tuck and that's Thompson. He just needs to be the, what is it called? The gear that keeps everything slow course for certain.
Well, it's so weird because now that you brought up like one of the longest tenured Sabres.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's crazy. Like, been on this team for a minute. But it feels like, like I said, when he got here 21, 22, 23, he was just buried on that fourth line, fiery, always coming at like the opponent, always being pesky on their side. But now he's like that peskiness from these Sabres has completely changed. That they're putting some wink on.
Exactly. It feels like he found his role too, where he's that fourth line guy. He can close games when the net's pulled and kind of lock things down, maybe get an empty netter. And he's a guy that can play up down the lineup when an injury happens to Zach Benson, where your first line's open, you want to keep your other lines intact somewhat. You're going to move Peyton Krebs up. You get that fourth line who's always been working hard, and to have a guy like that is very exciting. It is interesting though, like not to get too into the future of his contract's up, what that's going to look like. So maybe having this line can maybe boost something on that front, but we will see there. Don, any kind of final thoughts as we about this recent stretch from the Sabres of now there's 24 games left. You got on a must-win game in New Jersey, but getting a win makes this Florida trip just a little bit more, bearable, at least on the nerves.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've talked about it all year. There's no rest for the weary in this. Not only the Metro Division, but the whole Eastern or the Atlantic. Sorry, but the whole Eastern Conference. If you lose, there's someone nipping at your heels. I mean, that's the thing. It feels like we've been chasing the Red Wings in Montreal since early December. It's a big March, and we just can't get over that. Granted, Red Wings have a game on us. They played one more than us, but you got to keep pace. And I mean, my final thought is, how great is it that sitting here, not just being like, "Woo, we're in a wild card spot," but like, let's get home ice. Let's get in that number 2. Let's get in that number 3.
We didn't even get to it on the today of it all, but we were talking about how inevitably there, and I don't want to look past this weekend. You got to take care of business in Florida, at least 2 to 3 points for sure. But Tuesday night against Vegas, you're going to probably host Eichel and Thompson, and they'll likely have to do a ceremony to be like chivalrous and everything. And Eichel get announced. How much year is that to swallow with the Sabres actually being like in a playoff spot? I mean, I hate to say it, but if we were in like 14th in the conference, we would not be feeling as hot about that idea as we are for her. So yeah, you said it, Don. No rest for the weary in this Easter. You got to keep it up day by day, game by game, point by point.
Well, think about the Eichel part of it too. I feel like you just have to boo him off of like semantics of it all, like a Gary Bettman of, but the boos are going to feel different. It's almost like some closure in that, where the Sabres are in that playoff spot right now. Things feel better because every time he's been here before, it's been, out of just hate and spite. And this game means so much more for the Sabres than for Vegas, and just in terms of an emotional standpoint. Now, the Sabres are finding some success. I was seeing Eichel's done in Vegas. I feel like he's going to get some years once, he's out there with Tage for the ceremony. There are going to be some UA chants, of course. But once the game's, I feel like fans are just going to, it's always going to be a part of the Eichel back to Buffalo, Don.
Yeah, I think he'll get his cheers because, again, they're celebrating a USA gold medal. And the country can come together for that. Listen, Tage's goals, I think 2 out of 3 were fed from Eichel.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were tied at the hip. And
I mean, he was feeding him in that down low spot, which, by the way, we talked about. Gate going to be rough, change him instead of being up top to that, and he did. He had him floating down in that kind of sweet zone where he's going between screening the goalie. When it goes up top on the sideboards, kind of bounces down to the corner as an outlet.
What's like the X factor advantage? But clearly in Tage / Ovechkin's offense, he can unleash from there. He can get a wrister. He can there's a little bit less playmaking like clearness from there, but is it just that he's between his size and overall ability, it's just an unstoppable person to put down there, especially when you have to collapse the defense?
Yeah, I think in there, what we saw from USA is Tage became like the focal point of that power play, which is awesome for him where, he has the puck down there. The PK has to decide, okay, do we attack or do we, back off and take a man? Because whatever they do, Tage can kind of either attack the net like we saw with one of his goals, or he can find an open guy for a great scoring opportunity. I think, as, this week goes on, they get more practice. Where Tage only got a pregame skate to really work on this with the Sabres.
Yeah.
You know how bad their power play was on Wednesday, so hopefully they can learn from that. I think change, no matter what, is not gonna hurt power play with how it's been this season. So, I mean, we'll see what happens there. They've kind of been all over the map. Some say they're hot, sometimes they've been not. So might as well. It's time for plumbing, HVAC, and electric. Who's hot and who's not? Maniac, I want to get off with you first. We have a lot going on with the Sabres, with Banditos. Where are you at with your who's hot and who's not right now?
I'm hot. For the hot seat, in my opinion, is the Banditos defense. So I talked and I lamented a little bit how the Banditos didn't score for almost 30 minutes, so it should be their offense. But I think in a game to see the rush in a finals rematch from last year, where you're going to really need to have the silver bull in the chamber here, I think the offense is going to come into play. So I think we're going to get 5 to 6 goals out of Dane or Josh, right? And if the rest of the team can kind of count that, I think we'll get a win. But they need the defense to show up. You need to stew. You need those guys to lock it down.
And we saw in their regular season game last year, we had the party bring it last year. It was like a very low scoring game. It was like 7 to something like that. So if they can get that again, hopefully the band's going to be a big W.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for my not, I had to throw this one in here. Watching him on Wednesday, it just looks like maybe he's in a little bit of a rut. Maybe game's caught up with him a little bit. Noah Ostlund, when this guy got called up, he was in scoring plays left. He was a dynamic addition to the offense. We were angry that this guy was being kept on Chester. Only scored in 2 of his last 19 games. I don't like young guy, so we're not going to be hard there. I'm sure that the coaching staff take a very close look at what he's got going on. But right now, Noah Ostlund's been a little bit not, and we need him to. So Noah Ostlund, you're on the hot seat. Let's step it up. You're not.
Definitely. And we saw what they did with Consta Hellenis, who had a great start, but they sent him back to Rochester. We'll see what Lindy Ruff does. He seems to like him. We saw the press conference when Kevin Adams was in and set him down. So we'll see what happens there. Don, who's hot for you right now?
Who's hot for me? And it makes a little strange because he didn't really show up on the score sheet the other. I'm saying Alex Tuck. We talked to our guy John Laz today. He doesn't see Tuck going anywhere. He made those comments that we've been tracking a little bit, but ranking him as hot is I've said this before. Special teams that are 2 different sides of the coin. The penalty kill is awesome. The penalty kill is awesome.
The power kill.
He's kind of the guy leading the charge on that as both the veteran. And I saw it multiple times, him block a shot, get it, almost get another break. He almost had, I think, a 2-on-1, but he was gassed on one of the kills the other night. So he's been red hot. And, this is a sexy pick, but who's not? It's the power play. We mentioned it before. Something needs to change. Now I'm going to end this with some optimism. Going back to what I said, I like the new approach with Tage. And to answer your question of the advantage is it's a different look when you're in that Ovechkin offense. It's totally different shot. Goalie can come out of the net. When you're that down low, they're covering for the backside if the puck goes across, or he has to make a choice. Am I cutting for the pass or am I for the shot? Lots of times you see a goalie go down on one knee so he can slide across if it happens, but he's sitting in the back. So you have a totally different shot, a little flick of the wrist, which Tage has shown he can get. And, so they're not, but I would love next show on Trainwreck Monday to say the power play is hot. So we'll see.
I mean, it can't get colder after what we saw on Wednesday. My hot right now is Zach Benson, a guy who we saw be hurt before the big break. We didn't know when he was going to be back. It looked like a shoulder thing. As the team gets back to practicing while Tage and Rasmus are in Italy, we saw Zach wasn't on the ice. He was out. there was, rumors he got hurt with another upper body thing. It was like, oh, is he going to be gone? Turns out he was just sick. I don't know. We couldn't find that out a little sooner, but he's sick. Not going to play tonight, it looks like, but hopefully they can get him back a little bit sooner. That's a bit of a relief where, the Sabres haven't been without Zach Benson in their lineup. They're now, 5-8-1 on this season when number 6 isn't out there. So hopefully they can get him back very soon in their lineup. Who's not our haters. Specifically, I think one sect of Sabres haters who have PL, Jack Quinn, Owen Power in their hate group. I feel like I've unfortunately come under the moniker of, supporters for these three guys.
OP defender
number one. But UPL coming back in on Wednesday after, being last time I'm in Toronto where it wasn't a great out. He comes back. He has a great performance, stopping 27 of 28, I believe, and had that shutout until 2.5 minutes to go in the period, which we just can't get him.
I'm watching you like a proud son. They're defending inner goalie, and know that you always take a little. You look at the game closely, and you're liking what you from him.
Yeah, well, that's been a who's hot. My personal self knowledge at that point, where I've been backing him for a long time because I've liked how he's played. He's had his issues, which I've been vocal about. We have. But when he's on and he's playing how he is right now, he's a very good goaltender. I think the fact that Lindy Ruff started him on Wednesday is, a kind of a big win.
I was gonna say, that's what I was saying to the guys on the show today.
Yeah.
2 months ago, I think if we were playing a playoff game one, we're getting our hottest goalie coming in. Not to say that I have no less confidence in Alex Lyon than I had in that moment, but yeah, UPL has kind of taken it as for sure. He's being the guy that we need him to be, and I can't even state how many times I feel like we've gotten at least 45 to 50 minutes in the game with one goal or less against UPL. Now, again, that last minutes has been a little sketchy. But if I recall correctly, and I cannot say this enough, that's always been Lindy Ruff hockey. Like the 05-07 teams, they would be up 4-1 all the time. And they'd win 5-3 on an empty netter. So again, I will take being up and dealing with being able to hold a lead versus a team that can't complete passes and can't win a game, which we've done for the last 10 years. So very excited to see from the Sabres. And yeah, there's still going to be hate because you want this thing to be great. But, just shout out to the haters.
To the haters.
The grind.
Yeah, Owen Power. I mean, there's the 3-1 in front of the net last night, which he played perfect. But I think
heard you two were getting a little.
We were almost fought at the bar last night. Yeah. I had to cover up this guy from Don giving a bit of a hook, but I mean, he's not a perfect player by any sort of the means, but from where he was just a few months ago till now gives me just a bit of internal relief. Where I saw Samuelson just from last year, this year. I think Owen Power's in that progression as well, where it takes a while for defensemen in the NHL to find their game. We're seeing Owen Power. Not perfect, not be, that we pick a number one defenseman, but from where he was just a few months ago to now, I think is a big step. He has a lot of room to grow, which he will. And on Jack Quinn, kind of wrap up my hater talk, 16 games, he's got 15 points. He's not going to score every game. He's not going to get a point every game. He's going to have games where he 2-3 points. That's going to help the Sabres win down the stretch. So, Mike Bunt really put me on the Jack Quinn train. I'm all about it. So
he's always been a Quinn-sider.
A Quinn-sider, yes.
As I look at my take on Quinn, and we could go into all these players. At this point, I think he's exactly what he needed to be. A little bit more shot on goal. Sometimes he gets those grade A chances, and it goes. I know that you should pick a corner. I know that is what you need at the NHL level. But sometimes more we just had juicy rebounds. Sometimes we need to keep that puck in front of the net for more opportunities. So stuff like that.
We had the one last night that you're going to have too, where you had a fun one with Jason Zucker at a wide open net, threw it right in the pad. Could have 16 out of 16. But I think as the season progresses, we're going to see, that line be a big part of the Sabres' success, where they got carried last night from your first line getting 2 goals, UPL standing on his head. Going on out, they need that to need Josh Norris. I think the Sabres are going to hopefully get that as it progresses. So they got game 1, out of the way, done with. So that is a big thing for the Blue Gold. And that's been Salino Plumbing, HVAC, and Electric. Who's hot and who's not? Now, Maniac. We've been talking a lot about the Sabres, a little bit about the Banditos. I want to focus on the Bandits now. Where
they need it.
I want to know your concern level right now with the team as they head into this Saskatchewan game, really not in a playoffs. Where are you at before, the game begins on, do you have faith in this Bandits team to get the job going the rest of the way?
The thing is, I have faith in them because, like, it's almost like I have faith in Scooby-Doo and the gang to like solve the mystery. That no matter how crazy it gets, no matter how ridiculous, no matter which hallway they're running across, who's got a mask on, who looks like a monster, I just believe that either Matt Vince is going to make the save or we're going to have a Dane Smith and Josh Berngal. Now, I'm not completely off of that yet. It's just alarming as they continue to build the portfolio for this year. Again, it's not looking like, like anything plaguing for decades to come or anything, but it just seems like those bounces, those stops that they were able to get in years past aren't going the way. I think I was reading that, out of the 5 losses or so last 5 losses, like all of them are within 3 goals besides the, obviously Colorado shellacking. So, yes, I still believe, and like I would see the Don. I don't know if we could pull up the odds tonight, maybe at the casino across the street, just to see what they are, because I'm very curious against the best team in the NLL. I mean, Saskatchewan obviously won 9 in a row. That's part of the worry here again for me. Like I said, if we were getting, with all due respect, like the Nighthawks or somebody else coming into, KeyBank Center, coming into Bandit Land tonight.
You guys want to give a guess?
I'm going to go Bandits plus 135.
I was going to go 230.
Plus 230?
Yeah.
Bandits plus 110.
To see pick'em. So that's what I'm saying, Gatesy, is that the general public is not off the Bandit. That is the nut crunchers looking at the analytical data, everything like that. So I think it's so frustrating for Banditos fans to see, because there's just been so much winning that when you are put 4 out of 5 in the loss column, it's like alarming, is kind of like jarring. Like we've been saying on today that there's like shell shock amongst the Banditos faithful, because they haven't even gotten to the crash out line yet. They haven't even got there yet. So, with that said, all of it put together, you got McKay, you got your Deo. What you're going to need this weekend probably is the guys. I think you're going to get great performances out of your Vince, Byrne, Smith. Can you get the depth performances? Can you get the the depth guys score 6 or 7 goals in each of these games to get us to finish like 2-0 this weekend? Then we'll see. Then we'd be feeling if we can get that to happen.
Definitely. And you brought up such a great point of, we're seeing the Bandits put up a lot of losses, but it's not like they're getting run out of games. It's not like yeah, Colorado game, of course, but our last Banditos as well. We talked about it. All these games are, 1-2 games.
They played Vancouver.
Yes.
Like, just put this in reference. They played Vancouver a week ago. Vancouver is a top 3 team right now. They didn't score on the road for 25 minutes and lost by 2.
Yeah.
They started down 5-1. They had a separate segment where they didn't score for 25 minutes. So, yes, have they maybe not have that like on switch where they can go like nuclear in years past? Yes, maybe. But there's still the core of a very good team here if they can play outside of those lapses. Excuse.
Yeah, and then tonight especially, it's so weird because we're looking at each game for the Bandits so closely right now. Yeah. You play a team that's like Saskatchewan, who's 10-1 on the season, won 9 in a row, like you said. How much stock are you putting into a win? How much stock are you putting into a loss? Where it feels kind of weird because if they, and that's massive. You beat, the top team in the NLL and they can keep moving. But a loss, like, are you kind of really worried about another loss for the Banditos, or?
Yeah, I would definitely be alarmed. Again, the thing we have to remember is that if we're a half game out of the place right now, even if we lose, we're still only a game out. We're still only a game and a half out with still at least, half a dozen games on the schedule. And we'll have one Saturday night. So there's not going to be any rest for the weary. No matter what happens tonight, we got another game following. Don, I know that, you told us you like to stay in your lane. We're going to Banditos. But the thing about this that's relieving to me is that this simple thing that translates across all of sports. Banditos need to stay out of the penalty box tonight. When you look for Saskatchewan, as far as their offensive numbers, nearly 25%, a quarter of their offense, a quarter of their goals are coming from their power play this year.
Yeah, I mean, playing a man down, it does. You can, whether watching hockey or lacrosse, you're putting yourself in a tough spot. And yeah, like you said earlier, I think I represent I'm a perfect poster child for Buffalo Bandits casual. Like you said, shocked earlier. I've been the guy, like a lot of fans. I'll go to a game or two during the. I'm never checking standings. I'm saying I'll see you in the playoffs. Then we'll start paying attention. It's kind of like how Kansas City Chief fans were for years, where the casuals come out of the woodwork for the playoffs. I'll admit it. I'm that guy. So yeah, but hearing how much they've struggled has been a shock to me. Shorter season, obviously, too, than the NHL, so less room for error. But you can't play a guy down, and need your veteran goalie to come up big. Sounds like this, and they're playing tonight. An offensive powerhouse, so they're going to him to stand on his head.
JT was saying it'd be depth guys tonight, Gatesy.
Yeah, and good point. Just like bearing in the such an important thing about the NLL is you just have to get to the postseason, and then really anything can happen. We talked last time, just the Bandits team 2 years ago being one-time goal away in the first round of being
goal,
on.
They had only had one championship under their belt at this time. It was quarterfinal round. Next goal wins. I will not forget being next to Slick and Big Ugly Town, where you were there as well in the OT match. And we're like,
I think I was.
It was like the season could literally be over right here. They had a couple scoring opportunities. Then the Banditos go down. I think it was like about 3 or 4 minutes the overtime period. Get a goal, move on to the semifinals, and the rest truly history. It could be simple as finding that goal to get past the echelon to eventually find their way into the playoffs, Gatesy.
Because that's the thing is, if you are a lower seed in that first round, you just have to win one game.
One game.
It's like the NHL, we're at the Sabres potentially having to go to Tampa Bay, having to go to Carolina to win a 7-game series. The Bandits just have to get into the playoffs, win one game, and then you have 3-game series from here on out where you have momentum, you have the veteran leadership, you've had the been there, done that. And I think that's the biggest thing of telling myself about this Bandits team is all you got to do is get to the postseason, and you're basically where you need to be.
And done. Doesn't matter what sport. You see a back-to-back-to-back champion coming into your barn in the postseason. You're not feeling like an elation game. You're not feeling hot. You're not feeling confident.
No, not at all. And in fact, I'm hoping that this is how the Bandits can catch some teams off guard in the stretches. Teams coming in, maybe it's in their head. Oh, look at their record; they're the same guys as the 3-peat winners. Well, not fast, So I'm hoping. Being said, probably not. Most of their professional athletes probably not taking a team that's 3-peat likely, but all starts with tonight. Just it's my motto. It doesn't have to be pretty.
Quarter by quarter.
Win every quarter, and you're good. Yeah.
And it feels like in uncharted territory, Bandits team with the Sabres team. And I'm going to put us in some uncharted territory on the show with a new segment, William Matar's forecast, where I want us to transport ourselves back just a few months ago before this season started. And I want to give you a forecast of, where we are today. How shocked would you be if these things were happening, which they are right now? How shocked would you have been back in December if I would have told you the Buffalo Sabres would be in an Atlantic spot or in a playoff spot and the Banditos would be out of the playoffs?
Yeah, in a week before March, I would have been absolutely befuddled. By the way, this is the ultimate egg on my face because I'm the guy who's been saying all season, you can't even take these Sabres seriously until March. So I'm not looking. Well, guess what? That's basically the weekend. So that is right, staring me in the face. Definitely shocking. But with that said, if I could have taken one of them's like exceeding expectations and then one of them's a half game out of it, I probably would have hit the button right away, Don.
Yeah. Also, as a package, very surprising. If it's really mostly because of the Bandits, again, I mean, like have done a juggernaut for years. The Sabres, not a surprise. I'm surprised they're like within grasp of 2 or 3 in the division. Like I was very confident they'd make the playoffs. I thought we were looking at a wild card spot, but going to this season, it was like 2 gears, like where you're like trying to get them to fit together. They just need to click into play, and it seems like that has happened in the last few months. So half shocked, half not partially shocked.
Yeah, and
75% shocked.
Hybrid.
Yeah, 75% chance of winning. Shocked.
That's a good forecast there. Now this one's a little specific. Net for both teams. If I would have told you, the last week of February, there'd be a lot of sustained question marks about Matt Vincent net for the Banditos, while UPL seems to have all the confidence in the world from the Sabres coaching staff and really the fan base.
if we have another, if this is a tough weekend for the Banditos, we may have to break out, unfortunately, the blame pie, because we might have to start really looking at what this is. That's what makes this Bandito season so weird to me, is that like it's not all on Evans, but yeah, there's been a couple here and there where it makes that, because in such close games that we would be in a much better position. So very surprised that Matt Vince, in what's likely to be his swan song season, hasn't been a little bit more dependable.
And we've been so spoiled to it, Vince, of having the great goalie of all time, where it's just
let's not forget. Don and I were at a playoff game last year where the Banditos didn't score in the second half.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah,
it doesn't. Matt Vince could literally be in an elimination game this year, grab the ball and throw his own net, and we would still like be completely indebted to him.
Yeah, he could be like the second best of all time, and it'd still be like such a step back from the level he's been at in just recent history. But I mean, just where he's at, it feels like he needs to be Matt Vince of the best of all time to keep these Banditos roll.
Yeah, and I think I got confidence in how well how talented he is in the career he's had. And, you know, sometimes in sports, you just look at things as like fate. You know, they may even retire last year, retiring after the peak, going out on top Jordan style, like would have been amazing. He comes back for another one. It's like, he can't go out this way. No, he can't go out this way. And so I have faith in that, but also, surprised at the play. Again, won't be surprised if he turns it around. We know he has it in him. UPL, I wasn't a hater, as a lot of people, but I had a big question mark in my mind. Yeah, I wasn't really sold on him, especially because he's been in our system so long. But yeah, so I'll say I'm surprised that he has shown himself to be capable of being goalie. He's had multiple games where he's 40 shots, only about 1 or 2 in, and that's elite as far as I'm concerned.
Definitely. I mean, I've been carrying the bag for UPL for a while, and I was not appealed through this season with how he started off. You know, I just back so vividly of the final game he played where, you know, Sabres were in a close game. He gives up that weak goal in the third period. The goal, you know, make a save UP. I think
we were talking about October.
Worldwide.
October was not looking good for Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen lovers.
And then, you know, little by little, his game improved. He got confidence from not only himself, but the coaching staff, the team. And, you know, I have confidence in UPL where I feel like every year prior to this, every single shot on goal, I'd be, you know, holding my breath of not going to go in. Now I have some sort of, I don't know how it happened, but just confidence of, you know, the way playing that he's not going to give up some sort of, knock on wood, some sort of, you know, crazy goal where it's like, you know, need a stat point from him.
The funny thing to me, and how I interpret it, is that like sometimes I see a performance over these last 3 months, and I'm like, oh, well, he didn't really test it like that much. Like there weren't really dynamic like shots. When really the truth that you could probably lend credence to is that he was in better position. He was framed up. He wasn't allowing the juicy rebounds that he's allowed in years past. So he's just doing the little tangible things better to kind of make it easier to, you know, extinguish those offensive potentials.
And that's exactly been like mine and everyone's gripe with him is, you know, we can make flashy plays, flashy saves, but he's making the saves he has to. His rebounds have been a lot better. And, you know, not having a great UPL is great news where, look at the New Jersey game. His really top saves came off of first power play breakaways where he made the save he had to. They were a little dangerous, but it wasn't off of a fault of his own where he's putting it about in a bad spot. The Sabres defense is playing better too. And that's, you know, my last forecast for you guys is if I would have at this point that the Sabres would be, you know, really a lockdown defensive team and the bits would be, oh my gosh, they need to score a lot of goals because they're not going to win a game scoring only single digits. Where would your mind be at that?
I would feel like we were literally in the freakiest of Friday. Call me Jamie Curtis. Call me Lindsay Lohan. That is an absolute role reversal. Have we wanted it forever for the Sabres? Yes. Do we want it at the expense of the Banditos? Of course not. So hopefully it's a momentary lapse from the Banditos and it's a return to greatness for this rough system in.
I need to make this side note real quick.
I
want to jump in on the UPL. I'm like, kind of bummed he's not starting tonight because the watch party the Spurs party on is
at 40 Thieves.
Right. Yeah, at our guy. And if you remember earlier this season, how could he go out and have a beer on Thanksgiving Eve at 40 Thieves after putting in those goals? So kind of funny.
Oh,
We've gone.
that feels like a century
Yeah.
ago, honestly.
Yeah.
Things changed from that point. I felt like after that,
That was legitimately the turning point, like that right at the beginning of December when they go on the run.
Yeah, and every movie, how many times does the hero, they're at the bottom, they go to a bar, just drink alone, and then someone talks that to the
Love
come
that.
on, like let's from Dodgeball.
Yeah.
I'm sure you won't.
Lance Armstrong. Yeah, I'm sure you have a really good reason for
I'm sure you
leaving
will
that
regret this
position.
moment for the rest of your life. Like it leaves. Yeah, but so I had to stick that in there. But I mean, complete shocker that Sabres are better defensively. Again, the Sabres we're used to are, hey, if we win, it's 6-5, it's 5-4, or we're losing 7-6, and we were up, 5-2 in the third and gave up 4 goals in the third or something. So, complete role reversal.
The complementary nature of both operations,
Yes.
too. I think the Sabres have been way better passing this year. So you have less turnovers in the neutral zone. It's a little bit easier for defense to be better. On the flip side, you lose a Cloutier, you lose a those are some of your facilitators, etc. I think you see the flip side and Banditos side.
You're probably seeing maybe similar percentages of chances going in, but the amount of total chances, I feel, really flipped upside down, where the Sabres aren't giving up as many. They are getting outshot, but in terms of the quality of them has not been to levels we've seen before. But it's just I just can't comprehend what we're seeing right now with these two teams. I wouldn't leave anything that I just said,
Bizarro universe.
But it's kind of right where you'd want to be if in the situation where I know the Bandits can turn things on. They're only that half game out, like you said. At this point on, I have faith that the Sabres can hopefully lock things down. The final 24 games go from there, and the Banditos can, in their game, sneak into a spot, and we know anything's possible.
Right now, you can put money on best in the NL against Banditos in Bandit tonight, and it's a 50-50 shot. So that should be your indicator that the people with the crunching, the people with the logistics are still very strong believers in this Banditos crew.
Exactly, and that's all you can really rest your hat at the end of the day. So see what happens there, but that's been William Matar's forecasts. And now we have some big games tonight. Sabres in Florida. We saw them right before Olympic break. The Sabres got a big, 5-goal game. They were 2-0 early. They battled back. That was kind of
felt like once we got down 2-0, we just punched him in the face and just didn't stop punching him. It was great.
Yeah, with remember the media timeout.
Liddy was looking like Gandalf with that timeout. It's just like, settle down, boys. We're not skating the right way. All of a sudden, it's like we look amazing.
Exactly, and that was the game prior was the Montreal game. They gave up the third lead, and it was like, I think we're all kind of collectively feeling, oh, these might just be the same old Sabres. They just kind of kicked the can down the road a little bit. But they got that timeout, like you talked about, Don. They're able to battle back. They're getting their goal scoring. They're back in Florida again. It just feels like if you get a win here and start this Olympic, post-Olympic break-off 2-0, that would be the biggest thing for, I think, easing everyone's nerves about this team moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge. Again, also, it's NHL scheduling. It's kind of weird. They've done this twice now.
By we mean terrible.
Yeah, and they also did it to the Leafs, the last 2 games. It's and already there's been a lot of shouting about being real catering to this southern market with the way he's treated a lot of things, and how Tampa Bay was kind of the darling of NHL for a while, still is. Listen, you just got to take the hand you're dealt and battle with it. I think we're a better team than the Panthers. I think their record shows that. Yes, they've had injuries, but get in there, control the game. Kachuk, for all the accolades he gets, I thought he has a lot of interesting quotes. And one of them about the Epic game was he said in the locker room, he's like, "Yeah, I'm not getting ice time. I'm just going to be a cheerleader." He was like, "I'm not going to play D3 hockey in a metal game." And then the last game said, "Yeah, they're they're more skilled than us
yeah.
in every single way. And if we don't play our game, so that's what we're talking about. Control the puck in the neutral zone and make them have to chase you. They can't keep up with.
We talk about how winning is like everything. Like the Panthers have just won so much recently that like Kachuk really can say anything, and it just has credence. It just feels real.
Well, I mean, he pretty much nothing is admitting to like they're doing like they pretty much took the Bruins playbook for they like hey, sneak into the playoffs is beat people and rely on the refs carrying their whistle. So hey, if it works, I can't knock it. 1-2 cups back to back, but I think we're faster than them. Use your speed in the neutral zone. So
the Panthers are dangerous. They've been wounded all year. They've been dealing with like a lineup there is as they've been all year now, Gates, but they're finding themselves on the outside playoff picture. They've got no time to waste. You talk about a sense of urgency. Obviously, Buffalo fans want the Sabres to keep winning because we just want to save those playoffs are guaranteed. Almost in a need to win every situation.
Yeah, because Sabres wait in regulation. They're 11 points ahead of the Panthers in this final 23 games, and the pace really starts to set in for them where, they're trying to catch a lot. But every team in the East seems like they're winning. Every game feels like it's going to overtime. Where you have, Ottawa's ahead of them. Toronto, they're flying at the moment.
Do you remember last year? I swear to God, like the Sabres kept losing, and it felt like everyone kept losing. Like there were nights where like 6 to 7 teams that were in between us and like the standings, they would all just lose. Feels like the complete opposite every night this season. We're paying for that.
And the Sabres are on pace to go for 100 points. Yet
squeak in.
We're trying to squeak into the playoffs where it feels like so many games are go to, overtime. There's 3-point games every single night if you look in the East. And the Sabres, to their credit, winning games in regulation, if it gets down to a tiebreaker such a scenario, they're going to win that. So that's going to be a big thing because if the Sabres win tonight, and some things go their way, they'll be second Atlantic. And the thing that, I tell myself is there's a lot of teams close in that range, especially in the Metro side. They're kind of competing in the Metro playoff part where, the Sabres, a lot of the Atlantic teams, a lot more points than the second, third place team in the Metro where, yes, we have a bunch of teams in there from Columbus that are kind of fighting for that spot. But, the Sabres can get in that Atlantic place. They can, have more points. They just got to keep winning. It's going to be, a big game here. If they get this, now you've won 2 in a row. You can get some momentum going into Tampa. And all of a sudden, we could be saying the Sabres could be going on a 3-game win week to start their post-Olympic break. And we're all just kind of hoping they'd go 500.
Just like we said, the Banditos, one period at a time with these Sabres, super sure, but they come out of this Olympic break 3-0.
Oh,
say he's Tuesday night.
I mean, if I'm comparing the two top teams in the East right now, the Hurricanes and Lightning, I think the Lightning are a lot more vulnerable. We didn't play them great that first time, but still got a point out of it. I saw Lightning kind of play a weird, rough game against the Leafs, even though they were the last 4 minutes of that game were bonkers. I think they allowed 2
rollerblades.
Goals. Gensel misses a wide open net off the post. They go back, score the other way. Speaking, I know we're talking about the Sabres, but I got to give some Leafs hate out there.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
bad.
The meltdown that Angle is having is insane. They're all there,
generational,
and all of us are like, yes, trade, chase. You chase down Marner, chase out Matthews now. Let's do it. Like,
I mean, if Matthews is done, I mean, that's. I hate to say it for the Steves out there. That's the end of it. Era. That's the end of an era.
If they don't make the playoffs or the basement now, I think they're going to completely deconstruct this team.
John Tavares is Will Smith in the empty living room.
He'll be the only one left.
Sure.
They scored 3 goals. He's back, and Tavares has both of them. You look at, I feel bad's not the right word, but you look at Toronto fans, they've been saying for all we want is a change to their core four. That's all we want is a change. They finally get their change, and the Wheels completely fall off the bus. Yeah, they were kind of forced into it with the Marner contract situation. I think we've all been there, done as Buffalo sports fans of, this move needs to happen, something needs to happen. Something happens, they make the change, and it just goes into complete opposite direction.
Yeah, I hate to say it, that it seemed obvious. It just seemed the writing was wall when Marner went to Vegas. That move was not going to be, in retrospect, a good move for them. And Marner, I think he had a little bit of an injury bug, but points per game, he's obviously playing well. Vegas. And yeah, you hate to see it. I mean, there's something to be said, Don, and we've been talking about how certain things on these games for tonight and these sports kind of transcend everything. Continuity in sports. As much as you do change up something in the core when you're not getting the results you want, when you're not getting over that hump, exactly like we're seeing with the Bills. In a different, they get rid of McDermott, who's part of that core. Some pieces also leaving, but you go Turner, and like you said, Gatesy, it's been pretty disastrous for Toronto.
Yeah, I don't feel bad at all.
Don't feel bad on my side. I don't feel at all.
Yeah, well, I'm loving it. So yeah.
You're empathizing such a diehard Sabres fan. You know what it's like to be passionate about a team and to have them suck.
I'm just afraid to go on the offensive right now just because I don't want that pendulum to swing back because I'm feeling good about the Sabres team. I've been very vocal about that. But there's still, a little guard about there's still a lot of hockey left. Things need. I can't go on the offensive right now and go after other teams because if things don't work out, that is going to hit so poorly at practically every social media I have.
Oh, I'm telling you, the Sabres could win the Stanley Cup this year, and you'd still be thinking they could still blow it at some point.
they get 10-0
the parade, you'd be like, it's not over yet. Like garage.
Yeah. Up 3 games to none, 3-0 in the third period of the Stanley Cup final.
People always say,
don't move.
They're not good. They're not good.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We are not mortals.
Yeah.
No. So it's going to be, interesting in that final 24 games of the Sabres. Big game tonight. Don, you said UPL is not in. I'm assuming as line between the pipes for the Sabres. So that should be a big
spot.
Yep. I was listening on the way here out of WGR.
Mm-hmm.
No UPL isn't playing. It's a line spot, which I like.
Agreed.
Because then we're going to get UPL tomorrow against Tampa, which is, I think, it was where, I don't know, I'm not really ready to say one is better than the other. I think UPL has earned the number 1 spot, but I think this is perfect. You called me crazy back in like late November, early December, where I'm like, we might have a Miller-Baron situation going.
Still you a little crazy on that, but it is shaping up to be something resembling that for certain. If I had to go devil's advocate on tonight's Sabres match real quick, if the Sabres were to only get 2 points out of this trip, how would you want them to do it? 2 OT losses, a win in Florida, or a win over Tampa Bay? I think I kind of would want over Tampa Bay because from a confidence standpoint, I would tell you, we could play with anybody in this conference. I know that they believe that maybe it was professional athletes. They probably had that confidence already, but it would just kind of reinstate that for them.
Emotionally 100% that Tampa Bay where, they got the best of you last time where you lose that lead in the third period. You don't get the overtime win. Hurts. So if you can go into their barn again and get a win, that would be huge. I mean, brain-wise, I want to say the Panthers just because a win over them would be big for just knocking them down. One less team you'd hypothetically have to worry about catching you. They still can, but it makes that much harder. But I think right now the Sabres are almost playing with money. I looked at this 3-game road trip post-Olympic break. Going for 100, I'd be happy with. I would have taken that every time. You got 2 points in New Jersey. If you can get another win here in Florida, you're continuing. You're going above 500. Just keep doing that in these stretches here on out.
You've been terrorized as a man. You need to stop worrying about. You need to focus on mustard, not worry about Panthers playing catch up. Right?
Yeah, I'm worried about the Panthers playing catch up. Senators, Columbus, every team in there. I'm just watching.
No, there's no one team, so that's why I think they don't have to focus on the footsteps. Just focus on your.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the good thing is I really have to worry about them as much. Where the Sabres are taking care of business, I don't have to watch other teams' games as close as okay, this team has to lose. They can't go overtime, or else the Sabres are really they're taking care of business. There's a lot of time left, but they're doing what they have to. I want them to continue that in this Florida trip. If you get 2 wins out of this, our first 3 games, that's a win anytime done.
Yeah. Given the choice, I'm taking a regulation win against the Lightning as well. I mean, 2 overtime losses back to back would be kind of devastating. Even though we're getting the same amount of points, and again, too, you kind of hinted at it, Gatesy, is in overtime, this team 6-6. Now that you're it's not great. But it was real bad. It was 2-5, I think. It
was. At the start of the year, we couldn't buy an overtime.
Yeah, we couldn't win one. So and Johnny Laz today said he, to Benson, right, about what's changed? And he's like, honestly, us being like, we can get anybody. And hockey, the game is so tight, and the margins of winning and losing at this level are so tight as well. It really is sometimes just confidence and belief that can get you over the hump, get the adrenaline going, it gets the feet moving. And so losing 2 OTs back to back, I think, would be a morale crush for this team. So
thing on that, would you take it where I feel like we've seen the Sabres pull a lot of late leads to get to overtime? Would you 2 overtime losses if they came back late third? Because I feel like, Don, I can't remember a Sabres game this season where they scored a late goal, especially one with the man advantage to overtime. Would you take seeing a different Sabres team that can come back late in the game to get to overtime?
I'll take for the 2 points, but if that was the case, I would walk away feeling like we got lucky more than this team is playing great. So I still want to really feel good about it. If we kind of sneak into overtime both times and then lose.
Okay, let's get crazy.
Okay.
Would you rather take a 5-0 tonight over Florida and then a 5 loss against Tampa Bay tomorrow? Or like he said, 2 games we go into the third period down 3-1, but we force overtime in both and lose both. So we show resiliency and we show that this team is like blue collar. We're fighting to the very end, but we ultimately don't get a win in either game, or flip flop and kind of have a little 50 performance.
I'll take the 5-0 games.
Okay.
Because I'll just chalk it up to that laid an egg on a back to back and Tampa Bay was well rested and fucking tip your cap. I don't know. And let's go home, and we got 4 out of 6 on this road trip. So
there's an aspect, even though
I don't lose in overtime anymore.
well, those games make you feel confident. Like these guys never give up. Right? You'd be like, oh, we only scored 1 goal through 40 minutes twice. Through 3 times. There'll be 3 times.
Sometimes a 5-0 loss. If it's an isolated incident, isn't that bad? Because it'd just be like, all right, we were in it 2-0. Game got away. Bad bounces. Goalie stunk. Boys didn't show up. Whatever. Chalk it up. So,
yeah. Peace of mind is better.
And we'd see things we haven't seen before. We haven't really seen the Sabres go on a scoring output where they win a game by 5 goals. And like you said, you could just chalk up the other one as an anomaly. I just want to see this team fight where we've seen them fight instead of having a lead, hanging on and serving. Not so much of, behind the 8 ball late and getting back to a game. They've done a great job of, if they get punched in the mouth early, they're going to tie and take the lead in the first period where, and they do a classic Lindy Ruff of just hanging on, surviving late.
Alligator blood.
Literally. So, we're closing in 20 minutes till puck drop.
Let's go.
How are, as we kind of wrap things up, maybe some final thoughts here of just tonight, a 1 Buffalo night. Do you think that's a possibility? We're going to see 1 win. Where do you think that win's going to be?
I think if we're going to see 1 win tonight, the odds are probably pretty similar on each side.
I think both pick'ems.
But I think we would see it on the Sabres side just because the Banditos have been struggling. But is it possible to get a 1 Buffalo? And I'd say yes, and I think it's likely. I think we're going to get both teams are going to ride. The Sabres know that fans have been waiting for this decade plus. They're going to come out of the gates like they did against New Jersey and keep that momentum. And the Banditos are going to bounce back tonight, Don.
Yeah, if I got to pick, I got to ride with the hot hand, the Buffalo Sabres, and that's not counting out the Banditos. They just been moving a lot. There's been some devastating losses lately. I think we got to overdue. We're overdue. I think it's been months since the 1 Buff grab.
Yes.
Yeah, it's collected dust. There's cobwebs all over Gatesy's 1 Buffalo graphic. So we need it. But if I'm going to be locked in on the Sabres game, I got a gig tonight, but I'm going to have the phone up, checking check the scores.
I like it.
So
I think the last 1 Buffalo we had was UB football still playing, so I think it has been quite some time. So.
And I know UB football had a terrible end of the year, so it was at least at late October.
Yeah, that really shows it. It feels like the Sabres are a hotter team. I am kind of concerned about from them. If we're going to get 1, I wouldn't be shocked if it is Banditos, where I kind of want to go against the grain of, them showing up in a big moment. I think that'd be the bigger game to happen. If they get that win, I would feel much about them moving forward, but we will see what happens there. Gentlemen, final thoughts on Sabres, Banditos as things up here and get close to a puck drop and Bandit Land beginning.
Not only would it be a rare one Buffalo, we have an opportunity for a double on Buffalo in 3 hours. So 4 wins. So something tells me someone would be very happy about that.
Yes, would be happy. I would be happy. The graphics guy would be happy. Everyone would be happy. Just to get both of the teams. I mean, you'd have the Sabres starting 3-0 after the Olympic break. You'd have the Banditos
back in the playoff picture. The mindset of the 1A we would feel of just crazy of, just 4 days ago, we saw the Sabres riding a 3 out of 4 losses coming into the New Jersey game. The Banditos, 4 or 5, go into just a 4 stretch of all of a sudden the vibes are back. We're feeling good. And we think these teams have future, Don.
Yeah. If I got to leave on 2 words, it's going to be actually 3 words. Jason Zucker goal.
Whoa. I think he's due.
Plus 280.
Plus 280.
Yeah, I like it. He's due.
I think he scored last time against the Panthers, so we'll see what happens there. I want to give a big thank you to everyone tuning in tonight, because we have some big games tonight in Buffalo. Buffalo opportunity here. Big thank you, Maniac, to Don, to the Herd of Buffalo Network having us out here.
Yeah, good job, producers. Let's go. The team behind the scenes making it happen.
Rachel Jameson, first day on saddle. Thank you both for being here, making us look good, and it's always a great time talk Buffalo sports. And I think there's only one thing we can do to maybe even ensure a one Buffalo night, and that's by having a good night now.